we see great things happening. Great things have happened already. The building is up. And thank God, as Brother Michael, you spoke about coincidence and connections. And as Mr. Jones spoke about how the both of you all came together and this happened, we really see that, you know, once God is in the middle of something, once God is a part of any project, he's going to bring the right people together. Regardless of how difficult things may seem, how impossible, you know, where am I going to get this money? How is it going to happen? Once God, you know, there's a saying, once God is in the vessel, you can smile at the storm. So continue to have God first and wonderful things would happen. It gives me great pleasure again at this time to welcome to the podium my area representative, and I love to say that because he is, Assemblyman Huey Cadet. He'll bring remarks at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Sadie, who's also my neighbor. Let me say special good afternoon to my colleagues in the Assembly, Secretary for Finance and Secretary for Community Development and Culture, of course, the man of the hour and his family, Mr. Michael Stewart, former Chief Administrator, and other members of the clergy, my good friend Dale in the background, ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, good afternoon. I want to say, I think Ted echoed what we had to look at the significance of the day. This is more than the opening of a facility or the opening of a building. I think is what we have here is the opportunity for something that will impact significantly on the community. And when it is happening in West City, as we now call down on this side, why would you not be more happy? I mean, Canaan Bonaccord is the place, Canaan Bonaccord Crown Point is now known as West City. It is the place to be, so that the fact that Mr. Stewart chose down here to open this facility is in keeping with what Canaan Bonaccord Crown Point has now become the place to be. So I am, of course, extremely proud. I want to really congratulate Mr. Stewart. The world, you know, very often has so many trends and facts. So there's a point in time when there was a global trend, you know, for feminization and empowerment of the woman. And then gradually we recognized that somewhere in the midst of that, men was being lost and young men was being lost. And I really want to congratulate Mr. Stewart for not now, because I think some years ago when Tambourine was even as popular as it is now, for the radio program you had, for that consistently, that message of ensuring that we empower our men and speak to the need to continue to empower men. And then now, in terms of your camp for polishing our young men for the International Men's Day celebration, is a consistent effort to ensure that our young men continue to be empowered. And I really want to, on behalf of my own division, and on my own behalf, because of my own involvement years gone by in the youth movement, that I want to encourage you to continue that work. It is a challenging, because very often in speaking to the men and bringing them together here as you would want to do on a Friday, you would find that you know, that's what is in it for me. And you may find that it is easier to get them by the green shop down the road than it is to get them into venues like this. But I think you have demonstrated over the years that you have a stick-to-itiveness about yourself, and you've come up with innovative type programs to ensure that you reach your target. And I really want to commend you, sir, for that. I really want to commend you for your effort. I want to commend your family, because I'm sure that very often when you're out doing this thing is because you're not able to do the things home that you should be doing, and therefore somebody had to make up for it, right? And somebody had to double up. So I want to commend your wife and your family for that support, because I'm very sure as you give yourself to the community, sacrifices that you have made for home. I really want to commend all of those like Mr. Jones and other persons who have been involved in this International Men's Day program. I want to again pledge our continued commitment as a division. We recognize that as in terms of education, as we continue to see growth in some areas, we continue to see our young men still not performing as they should. And therefore, all the strategies that we can come up with and craft that will target our young men and ensure that they play a more significant role, not only in the development of their community, but in the development of this wider Tobago, I think is an important one. So again, Mr. Stewart, I want to commend you for your efforts. I trust that this building will not be a fortress or a inclusive place, but rather it will serve as a beacon and serve as a bridgehead from where you would launch out your projects into the community and to the wider Tobago. So God bless you, sir, in your efforts, and take care. Thank you.
Thank you, Assemblyman Huey Cadet. Indeed, I look forward to the day when, walking not just in Canaan, Bonaccord, Crown Point, but anywhere in Tobago and anywhere indeed in Trinidad and Tobago, and will not have the eye-sawing effect of seeing a young man with his pants down by his knee. I look forward to that day. And last year, when Brother Michael, was it time flies so fast? Was it last year, the first year of the program, the second? Thank you. And he sent pictures. And he saw all these young men and boys doing positive things, learning how to tie a tie, learning how to, being schooled in how to dine properly, how to approach a young lady. I felt really good about it because, truth be told, we are so bombarded with the negativity, with the bad language, the horrible dressing. Javon, there is hope. Your dad is, and I guess this is the reason why it's so close to his heart. He has a young daughter. So he wants to ensure that whoever would come her way would be well schooled and so on. So there is hope. And, a space for men, a space for men. Women, it is easier for us to get together and talk because we love to talk, truth be told. It's a little more difficult for men to do that. And they may be more comfortable to do it in a space with other men. Brother Michael, I look forward to the day when you put up your big sign, and as my area representative mentioned, where you go to places like Green Shop and places like Jade Monkey and pull people out, not literally pull them by the arms, but encourage people, because sometimes we who, for example, we Christians, and for those of us who know better, sometimes we want to have this attitude where we stay away from persons like that. But the more we stay away, the more our society keeps going down. So I want to encourage all of us, I want to encourage the men here, to continue to lend the support to an effort like this, because it would redound to the benefit and the positive development of this beautiful island, Tobago. Yes? A lady that I admire a whole lot, I've never said it to her personally. I remember once in jazz, a couple years ago, I commended her for the program she used to do on Radio Tambourine, I think it was on Channel 5, a medical program where she would speak about medical issues, not just affecting women, but also men. And she would have moved from that field somewhat and into politics. But what I said, I think, Dr. Angus, you were fitted with the right what it is, not ministry. Portfolio, excellent, thank you. You have been fitted with the right community development and culture, because you are a community person. You're involved, you're there, and you contribute to things that will develop the community. I say all of that to invite to the podium. She's going to give some remarks this afternoon. Councillor Denise Surfat Angus, Secretary for Community Development and Culture.
Thank you for that warm introduction. Let me recognize my colleagues, Secretary Joel Jack, Huey Cadet, of course the past Chief Administrator, Mr. Keynes Dumas, the person of honor, Mr. Michael Stewart, his family support system, of course all you distinguished members, family, friends, support system, a pleasant good afternoon. I think it's only Michael Stewart who knows what he did to bring me up here this afternoon. We worked together. He's one of the first persons I probably worked very closely with when I came back home. And the cardinal rule back then was never put her on the spot and ask her to speak. I came back and I met Michael Stewart at the Tobago Regional Health Authority. And we were able to work together then through some very rough times back then. I know Dr. Okeke is here, Dr. Remy is here, they'll bear me through. And so for me today, when I reflect from where he came from to now, today is symbolic about the growth of a person, the growth of an organization, and giving back to the community. When I consider where Michael Stewart came from, working at the TRHA, leaving the comfort zone of the TRHA, going on his own, writing a few books, coming back to lend his support to the hospital project to get it off the ground, and again, going back out to do his work in the community, to develop himself further, and then to write some books, to try to empower others, to do some more workshops, to help some more people. And I really think if you follow the journey of the man, he deserves a rousing round of applause. But he would not have done it alone, because they say behind every man is a very good woman. I still remember those conversations when she was attempting to decide, should I stay to work in my own life or should I get on board fully with this business that Michael convinced everyone was now the family business. It wasn't just Michael's. And I have stood by and I have watched, and I am sure that you agree that it was the best decision that you made to just leave everything else and come on board and own the business as the family business with the communications consultants. And many times, I think, in our lives today in Tobago, we seem to forget that the most successful businesses on this island were family businesses. And I think we have to start getting back to that. Persons are now coming up, children want to do this, wife, husband, everybody's gone in their own directions. And sometimes they are not even seeing the ends meeting. But perhaps it is a model that we need to go back to, because it certainly keeps the family together. It helps pool the resources. You all know why you're working for that one objective, and it certainly becomes something achievable. But it also speaks to the man, to his ability to attract and retain good friends. Friends who will surface in that time of need. Friends who will buy into your dream. Friends who will be willing to put aside their own to help you to make it happen. And so this building is symbolic of friendships. But this building is about giving back to the community. And as the Secretary of Community Development and Culture, I wish to say thank you for giving Canaan Bonaccord another community center. Again, traditionally, if we go back in time, This is how community centers came about. In fact, I believe that is how that first one was built over by the playing field. We're about ready to refurbish through the Division of Community Development and Culture. But this is what a community center is about. When you hear about the number of activities that he intends to run through here, it is not just his business. He's opening up this space to the community and community programs. And I know that this is not something Michael Stewart dreamed of today, because before today, his home was the community center to young boys from a long time ago. I still remember him saying, I have to go home early this Friday night because the boys are coming over, we have to go to games. So this is just an extension of who the man is, and somebody who literally has traveled the world to help others. He has continued to run programs here, and therefore he has expanded that through a structure to be able to do more in giving back to the community. And so I know that whilst Canaan Bonaccord, Crown Point continues to grow in the activities, it is extremely important that we have places like these, because everyone knows that with growth and development, you don't only have positives, you have a lot of negatives. You have the temptations of the casinos down the road. And if we have spaces like this where we can compete for the time of the young people and they're not left idle to go seeking their way at the clubs and the casinos, then certainly we can harness that rich potential of the young people, the young men in our culture here, and put them on the right path from early. And so with that, I want to say I commend and congratulate you, Michael Stewart, for what you've been able to achieve, but most of all, on behalf of Tobago, the Tobago House of Assembly, I want to thank you for what you're going to be able to achieve even further in this space. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Soyafat Angus, and indeed, Canaan Bonaccord Crown Point Community Center. I like that. Good things, you know, being happy is I term it, my understanding of happiness and being happy can be temporal. You can be happy today, you can be sad tomorrow. But when you have achieved something that you would have thought of and planned and that was your dream for years and you would have finally achieved it, it brings a sense of joy. And you know, looking at my brother Michael, you know, the smile just can't come off of his face. And we know it came via hard work, it came via sacrifice, but this is here. And the reward for hard work, as we say, is more work. So look forward to this place in probably in a year's time being too small. Look forward to you having to extend this building, because you know the need for this space and the positive things that are going to be happening here will grow. So, ladies, we look forward to a space in the back or on the side where we can have games night, or where we could have something as well, because even as the activities and the training programs of the men begin to grow, you know, we don't want us ladies to be left behind. So we commend Brother Michael once again, and we'll continue to do so, and look forward to great things. What I like about the program and the way in which this entire thing would have developed, Brother Michael, is the connections that you have. Mr. Jones spoke a while ago. Your colleagues, your past, former colleagues from the TRHA, and the Secretary for Education, Youth Affairs and Sport, the Secretary for Community Development and Culture, the Secretary for Finance and Enterprise Development. Very interesting, purposed connections. We need the Secretary for Education, Youth Affairs and Sport because it's about developing the minds of our young people and, of course, others. We need the Secretary for Community Development and Culture. That's her focus, and it's about community. It's about bringing people together. It's about not going back to what was, but looking at those things that existed and how they impacted positively on our people to bring us to where we are today. And most importantly, none of this, absolutely none of this, could happen without money. Absolutely, absolutely not. The Bible says money answereth everything. Sometimes we take it for granted, but it cannot happen without it. So wonderful connections, and we hope that those will continue as this grows from strength to strength. So I invite, was it Max and I used to say we need the money? I invite to the podium at this time Secretary for Finance and Enterprise Development, Assemblyman Joel Jack. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sadie. And let me say that I also have those horrible feelings. It was just yesterday I was walking in West Mall and I saw a guy with his pants halfway down his buttocks exposing his underwear. And that shock and painful question came to me. Imagine this young man coming to ask for your daughter to go out on a date. So let me say that I get, and I see my father also sharing the same feeling. But let me acknowledge my colleague and friends, Mr. Huey Cadet, Secretary of Education, Youth Affairs and Sport, and also area rep for Keenan Bonaccord, and Councillor Denise, Dr. Denise Soyford Angus, Secretary with Responsibility for Community Development and Culture. Let me also recognize the ministers, Mr. Philbert, Mr. Michael Keynes Dumas, also Dad. Let me also recognize the man of the moment, Mr. Michael Stewart, Mrs. Stewart, the rest of the Stewart family, and also I see your brother and sister-in-law and all of the Stewart family and the Richardson family, contractor Mr. Ted Jones. Ted, if you have found an effective model to build at this cost, you'll be saving Tobago a lot of money. So I know the secretary with responsibility for infrastructure is not here, but I know my two other colleagues, they have, projects and costing and, so they might be tapping you for some consultants with respect to how we can get things done in a cost-effective manner. Specially invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Let me say that I think I had to be here today because, this building symbolizes something. It symbolizes a dream, a vision, and a passion, and it symbolizes the fact that you can take an idea, you can take a dream, and see that dream come to pass, come to reality before you die. Let me first of all congratulate Mr. Michael Stewart for taking this bold step as an entrepreneur and exemplifying what entrepreneurs should be doing in this current economic climate. An entrepreneur, by definition, is one who is a person who organizes and manages any enterprise, usually with considerable initiative and risk. And the word I want us to remember there is risk. Because probably Mrs. Stewart might have asked the question, because there's an opportunity cost for any investment dollar. You sure you're going to make on this investment? I have kids going to university, I have this to do and that to do. But that is what an entrepreneur does. He takes risk, he makes an investment, and in the end, that investment will pay off. But if you look back at Michael's life, and my colleague, Dr. Angus, highlighted it also well, he took a risk to leave a secure working environment and to get into business in a time when it was unpopular to do so. I remember it reminds me of the Dwight York story. And Dwight York's mother told them, "What are you fighting up for football for? Why you don't go and look for a THA work?" But if you remember Dwight York's pay packet in his heyday, it was £120,000 per week. Multiply that by 10, it will give you some idea as to why you don't look for a job. And as we commonly define the acronym of job, it's just over broke. But by opening this business venture, Mr. Stewart, I believe you have identified a profitable niche where he can, and I believe this niche, this business idea would exceed your expectation. But I want to highlight some qualities of this gentleman that I believe entrepreneurs could model and can pattern after. And that is Michael's philanthropic side. And I say that because he's not one, you know, when he came with the idea of the boys polishing camp and his attempt at embracing corporate social responsibility, being a businessman, not just earning money and keeping it in your pocket, but as to how we could have given back to the community. You know, my answer was already yes. And I pledge the support of the Division of Finance, because better men equals better leaders, equals better fathers, better entrepreneurs, better businessmen, better politicians, better leaders. It was an investment in the future of this island. And you know, it's a bittersweet moment standing here, because now polishing camp will be moved out of my electoral district to Canaan Bonaccord. But let me say, Michael, you have my support, and you know, we're looking to, probably we have the space, we don't have to go anywhere. Probably we can extend boys polishing camp longer than a week. So again, you have an open door.